Yo, what is going on, everybody? I appreciate y'all for tuning in. We are going to dive into a civil complaint for $260 million, which I don't know. That amount sounds like crazy considering the headlines. I'm going to give y'all complete candor. I have not read this complaint. All I read essentially were the headlines out there that Tyler Perry is being sued for $260 million for sexual harassment, which sounds kind of crazy. I don't know if that headline is accurate because I know that there are 10 counts, 7 counts in here, but $260 million for sexual harassment sounds wild. So I'm assuming that there's probably some crazy ass stuff in this. As always, here we do attorney reactions to current event and trending news. My name is Marcus. I'm a licensed attorney. I've been in the game for in excess of 15 years. Defense, investigations, drugs, financial crimes, pharmaceutical companies. Seen it all, did it all, done it all. We're going to dive in and talk about it. If you get some value out of this content, I invite you to like, share, subscribe, all of that good stuff. And shout out to everybody in the chat and shout out to the channel members for the additional support. It is greatly appreciated. Now, this complaint got some pages to it, so I don't want to beat around the bush. Let's go ahead, get everything queued up so we can get it on the screen. All right, so this is in Superior Court for the state of California. This is a state lawsuit. The very first things that jumps out at me is this stuff is relatively recent. I do have a little bit of recency bias when a civil complaint is filed for conduct that happened within a 5-year window. I kind of look at it like, why didn't you go to the authorities? If you go to the authorities, is ripe for criminal sanctions. And if you get a criminal prosecution, you really don't have to do much on the civil side. So you can just let the state do the job of the investigating to prove the criminal, sexual harassment, assault, whatever the charges are. And then on the civil side, if you get a conviction, you just ride that conviction to an easy win in civil court. So because this is relatively new, I kind of got to look at it like, not saying that everybody should go and file criminal charges, but when you have allegations like this, the individual Derick Dixon put his name in the complaint. He didn't do a John Doe or Jane Doe. Like, I would have just been like, bro, go to the police, let them do their thing, and see if we can ride a criminal conviction to a civil victory. Now, Derick Dixon, I don't watch any Tyler Perry stuff. The last Tyler Perry stuff I watched was, I think, the play, like, why did I get married? I just don't. I'm not a fan of Tyler Perry. His stuff be kind of buffoonery to me. Like, it's always like some black guy with ashy knees who's speaking improper English. It's kind of goofy. Like, okay, 1 or 2 years of that, but you've been doing this for like, I don't know, 15 years, bro. Like, however long you've been making these movies, and you just keep putting bad cornrow wigs on people. I think he's just trolling at this point. It just get ridiculous. I don't watch any of these stuff, but Derick Dixon was an actor on the show. What's it called? The Oval or something? I don't know. Tyler Perry is being sued in his individual capacity as well as his Tyler Perry Studios, his production services LLC. 10 counts: quid pro quo, sexual harassment, work environment harassment, sexual harassment, workplace gender violence, violation of the Bain Act. We'll talk about that when we get to it. Sexual battery, sexual assault, negligent retention, intentional infliction of emotional distress, and retaliation. All right, let's go ahead and read the. It's a long summary. All right, let's go ahead and read the summary of allegations because they got text messages up in here and everything. But this is going to be crazy. All right, plaintiff Derick Dixon files his complaint against defendant Tyler Perry, aka Perry TPS Production Studios, and AA and Action LLC. The following complaint is played on information and belief. This case arises from a sustained pattern of workplace sexual harassment, assault, and retaliation perpetrated by Tyler Perry, a powerful media mogul, against plaintiff Derick Dixon, a professional actor and screenwriter. If I was Tyler Perry, real quick, I would actually be, if these allegations are true, and since we just see text message images, I would actually be very concerned that other people are going to start coming out of the woodwork with allegations. Whether those allegations are based on fact or just a money grab, be prepared because it's probably going to happen. He's a powerful media mogul against plaintiff Derick Dixon, a professional actor and screenwriter. Mr. Perry is an American actor, filmmaker, and playwright who has built one of the most successful careers in film and television. Mr. Perry took his success and power and used his considerable influence in the entertainment industry to create a coercive, sexually exploitive dynamic with Mr. Dixon, initially promising him career advancement and creative opportunities, such as producing his pilot and casting him in this show, only to subject him to escalating sexual behavior, assault, and battery, and professional retaliation when Mr. Dixon did not reciprocate Mr. Perry's unwanted advances. These events occurred while Mr. Dixon was employed as a series regular on the Tyler Perry show, The Oval, and while Mr. Perry held direct control over his employment, compensation, and creative opportunities. Tyler Perry rose against all odds. Success story. His rise to fame and fortune elevated him from a powerless victim to a figure of tremendous wealth, influence, and power, culminating in the ownership of his own film studio. Rather than using his influence responsibly, Tyler Perry has engaged in a pattern of misconduct where he exploited his position of power. Tyler Perry has been using his power and influence to molest, abuse, and sexually assault impermissible and vulnerable employees, impressionable and vulnerable employees and actors who look to him for guidance and mentorship while pursuing their dreams. Just like Harvey Weinstein, Bill Cosby, R. Kelly, Sean Combs, Kevin Spacey, Roger Ailes, and many others in the industry. Damn. All right, they already just threw out everybody else to just try to make him look further like a creep. Again, allegations. This is just a complaint. Mr. Perry's success has led him to believe that money and influence can get him whatever he wants. That belief slowly transformed into a false idea that Mr. Perry can get whoever he wants. There are things in life that money cannot buy. Mr. Perry sought one thing his wealth and influence could not purchase: a sexual relationship with a man who would remain silent. Perry told Mr. Dixon that his ideal relationship would involve a male sexual partner who he could provide for and who would be loyal but emotionally detached. Perry told Dixon, "Whoever ended up with me is going to be a happy MFer." In essence, Mr. Perry described a one-sided coercive dynamic with a subordinate, an arrangement devoid of mutual consent or emotional reciprocity. Thus began Perry's calculated pursuit of Mr. Dixon. This was not Mr. Perry's first instance of sexual exploitation. He has demonstrated a troubling pattern of exploiting vulnerable male actors and employees, leveraging his industry power to create a cycle of hope and dependency. First, he offers a There you go. Hold up. See, I couldn't look at my. Damn, I couldn't. All right, I'm gonna give y'all the replay. I think. Well, I don't know what the hell happened. That was weird. All right, we got it back. Sorry about that. All right, long story short, Tyler Perry was accused or have been accused of just finessing people. This text image to the right was actually hilarious. Oh, let me see. I want to make sure it's on the right audio. All right. This text message to the right is actually hilarious because Mr. Dixon asserts that Tyler Perry ended the season with like everybody on the show was shot at. Like it was a drive by and everybody on the cast was on the corner and could have potentially been hit. And he was like, "Yeah, everybody should be scared because nobody knows who's going to die." So that's what that text message to the right is asserting. Let's go ahead and jump back in. All right. In one such exchange, Perry stated that he could fix things because the actors of a show he was filming should all be scared because they were all shot at and we don't know who survives, meaning that Tyler Perry was going to use this as a tool to gain compliance with his desires. Hold on, let me move something over. Let me change the position of this because the way I got it set up now, uh, when I'm reading, I can't see the comments. And that's how I had no clue that the sound went out. So we just gonna do it this way. All right. We'll do it that way. All right. Derick Dixon was Mr. Perry's sexual desire. Ever since they became acquainted, Dixon was working as part of an event staff for a party hosted by Mr. Perry. When Perry noticed him, Perry immediately offered Dixon the chance to audition for a part in one of his TV productions. Dixon agreed and was on a set with Perry behind camera for weeks in close quarters. During the time that they were filming, Perry would send flirtatious text messages to Dixon. For example, in one message, Perry stated that he was jealous when he saw Dixon going on a walk with another man named Brad. And we can see the image right there. Why did that photo just make me jealous? You two together? Haha, I don't know. It's just Brad. He trying to be real light. He just wanted to go for a quick walk to get his steps in, and now I'm walking to Chipotle by myself. Okay. Bro, Thick Derek is wild. Well, then I was like, "Thanks, Derek." I was actually thought that said thanks, but that's wild, bro. Uh, to I don't know. I don't know if that's a typo, but Thick Derek is crazy work. All right, so he was jealous of him going on a walk with Brad. In another text message, Perry stated to Dixon, What is it going to take you to have guiltless sex? Have y'all found that yet in therapy? You can have freedom from religious guilt and still believe in Christ. Plaintiff carefully navigated a friendly demeanor to prevent the loss of income and opportunity on the one hand, and on the other hand, and on the other, a firm boundary against Perry's advances. Often, Mr. Perry started drinking, he would demand more attention from plaintiff and get more aggressive with his flirting. On one occasion, Mr. Perry was drinking. He started to become extremely annoyed when Mr. Dixon avoided him. Mr. Perry stated that of the 600 people in his phone book, he only wanted to talk to Mr. Dixon. And he just putting in receipts for everything that we're reading here. Dixon did his best to tiptoe around Mr. Perry's sexual aggression while keeping on Mr. Perry's good side. Mr. Perry made it clear to Dixon that if Dixon ignored Perry or failed to engage with the sexual innuendos, Dixon's character would die in the next season. That's crazy as hell. Every season he end with everybody getting shot at. Every season he end with everybody getting shot at, so nobody knew who was going to get fired. So he had a little bit of leverage. That's actually wow. This is giving straight Boondocks, Winston Jerome episode. All right. Indeed, Dixon's character Dale was shot 4 times in the chest at the end of the first season of The Oval, and Perry always held this over Mr. Dixon's head, implying that Dale would survive if Dixon kept Perry happy. Crazy, bro. All right. Crazy allegations. Remember, these are allegations. We just reading the allegations. All right. Once Perry recognized the extent of control he had over Mr. Dixon, he escalated this behavior on multiple occasions. Mr. Perry sexually assaulted Mr. Dixon, including one instance where he forcibly pulled off Mr. Dixon's clothing. Okay. All right. Now, real quick, this part right here, I would just be honest. The way all the news reports are written, it says $260 million for sexual harassment. And I don't know, sexual harassment, $260 million. That just didn't make any sense. Like $260 million is like Cassie didn't get $260 million. She got like $30 million or something to that effect. Not saying that his harassment or whatever happened, but now that we're actually reading this, it's a little bit more than just sexual harassment going on. So I'm like, okay. And you always want to throw the number up there high because they know Tyler Perry is worth a shitload of money. All right. One instance where he forcibly pulled off Mr. Dixon's clothing, groped his cheeks, and attempted to force himself on Dixon. Mr. Dixon told the drunken Perry no and attempted to remove Mr. Perry's hand, but Mr. Perry held tightly onto Dixon's wrist. Tyler Perry, a big dude too. Like I'm just saying, if Tyler Perry wanted to hold on to this guy's wrist, I'm sure there was nothing he can do because Tyler Perry is not a small guy by any means. He's actually a relatively large individual. He attempted to move Mr. Perry's hands, but Perry held tightly onto Dixon's wrist. Mr. Dixon was only able to escape after de-escalating the situation by abruptly changing the subject. I don't know. That's interesting. Again, allegations, and I'm not saying that that didn't happen, but that seems inconsistent with what's going on. You got this big ass burly Tyler Perry dude, and this dude Dixon, who isn't really that big of a guy from the images I've seen, and this straight like he ripped this guy's clothes off. He holding his hands. This dude can't get away. He's saying no, and Perry like I'm not trying to hear it. All in his allegations. But then it says Mr. Dixon was able to escape after de-escalating the situation by abruptly changing the subject. I don't know. That's interesting. Like all of that is happening. You're like, hey man, how about that NBA Finals? I don't know. I'm not saying it didn't happen that way, but the fact that he was able to change the subject and then that completely changed the dynamic of what was going on. It's just an interesting fact. I'm not saying it did happen. I'm not saying it didn't happen. We just reading the allegations, but I don't know. Normally physical assaults don't stop because of a change in conversation. That's all I'll say. Physical assaults generally, I've defended people who've done those type of things, and I've put people in prison who've done those type of things. Normally, assaults don't stop because of a change in the conversation. That's why that just jumps out as odd to me. Real talk. Let me check out this comment real quick. We know about Sister Mr. Perry. He is a strong, persistent predator out here in Atlanta. I mean, hey, all I could think about was the Boondocks episode with Winston Jerome. I mean, I don't know. There have been rumors of things going on, but now it looks like this might open the floodgates if there are any other victims out there or people who think they can get a bag. And the fact that this guy has text messages is likely a possibility that a lot of other people have text messages. All right, so Mr. Dixon was only able to escape after de-escalating the situation by abruptly changing the subject. The day after the assault, Mr. Perry called and texted Mr. Dixon relentlessly saying, tried you, called me, and I really need to talk to you. Please call as soon as you can. Finally, when Mr. Dixon answered Tyler Perry's call, he probably got audio recordings as well. Mr. Perry profusely apologized for the assault while blaming it on other things. Perry continued, he didn't know why he would do that. Maybe he was self-sabotaging. On the very same call where he apologized for the sexual assault against Dixon, Perry told Dixon, and don't worry, we're going to do your show, referring to the pilot that Perry knew Mr. Dixon had desperately wanted to produce. Shortly thereafter, Mr. Dixon got a call from Perry's lawyer saying that Christmas had come early and that Dixon was getting a substantial raise and the show was greenlit. Perry's attorney explicitly warned Dixon not to tell any other actor on the show about Dixon's raise because no other actors were getting a raise, only Dixon. Perry kept telling Dixon that he was sorry and that the harassment would not happen again. However, the harassment and assaults continued. Mr. Perry would also try to deflect the blame for the sexual assault by saying that Dixon didn't have a strong enough no. Bro, what? A strong enough no is crazy. A strong enough no will get you in prison. No, nine, like any whatever you want to say. You can say it in English, Germans, Espanol. No is no is no. If they say go and you're not sure, stop. No is no. A strong enough no is crazy. All right. Perry told Dixon that you have to be able to say no uh, and mean it and make it clear. What the hell he wanted him to yell it? That's actually crazy. All right. Dixon did not know how to answer without facing retaliation, cancellation of his production contract, or perhaps being killed off the show. So instead, Dixon made a joke out of the situation, stating that I'll only say yes to sex if it gets me an Oscar. I don't know. Was that a joke? Was that a joke, or were you countering a quid pro quo with a pro quo of your own? Were you countering a quid with a pro quo? I don't know. Was that a joke? I don't know. Like, I know sometimes things happen and people do try to joke it off as if it didn't happen, but that's actually interesting because that fact can kind of cut both ways. But I don't know. Saying that, they're sending the smiling face, winky eye emoji. I don't know. It can be used in both contexts, um, depending on what other evidence they have out there. In response, Tyler Perry stated, "The only one who could have gotten that Oscar for you through sex." Whoa, wow. Whoa, what? Hold on, wait. What? In response, Tyler Perry stated, "The only one who could have gotten that for you through sex is in prison. So just stick to the no." Okay, all right. Unless you are really into him. All right. Perry reveals through these text messages that the no he was referring to was Dixon's no to the sex exchange for promotion in the industry, classically called the quid pro quo sexual harassment. Perry sent messages to Dixon because that is exactly what Tyler Perry was doing. At some point, Dixon left Atlanta and moved to Santa Monica to create distance from Tyler Perry. However, even at long distances, Tyler Perry continued to sexually harass Dixon. All right, plaintiff Derick Dixon, he resides in California, blah, blah, blah. Parties, we're not going to go through all the parties. We already know who the parties are, who the production companies are. Venue and jurisdictions, court has jurisdiction. It's filed in California. It's not filed in Georgia, where uh, Tyler Perry lives. All right, factual allegations. So 2019. Okay. All right, because again, this is the first time reading this complaint. I did not read this complaint. Candor to everybody, candor to the tribunal. I did not read this complaint. I started out by saying that anytime it's relatively recent, within a 5 year, 5 to 7 year, depending on what the charge about. Anytime it's within a 5 yearish window, I always think it's actually in the best interest for allegations like this to go to law enforcement. So this dates back to 2019. So it's going to be interesting to see when these actual instances occurred. Is it within a 5 year window? And I just say 5 year window because generally that's most statute of limitations. Not all. This is a state thing. Some can flex, but generally 5 years is probably about what you're looking at. In or around September 2019, he worked for an event company called Legendary Events in Atlanta and was hired to organize Perry Studios opening. Plaintiff was recruited by Tony Conway, the owner of Legendary Events and a close friend of Perry's. Mr. Conway decided to place Dixon directly in the role at the party that required frequent conversation with Perry. Defendant Perry picked plaintiff out of a crowd of employees present at the party and began asking plaintiff questions about his employment status and whether the plaintiff was an actor. In or around early October and on the last day of the party, defendant Perry insisted that he and the plaintiff exchanged phone numbers. And Perry subsequently texted plaintiff to introduce himself. Perry began asking Dixon about his dreams and aspirations. Dixon told Perry that he was interested in acting and writing. Perry then told Dixon to do an audition over the phone and send it to Perry. Dixon told Perry he was at a Halloween party. Perry asked to see pictures of Dixon in costume, and Dixon complied. Bro, you went down the wrong road right there. When Perry saw the picture, he texted Dixon, I was going to say, your cowboy needs a sugar daddy. Perry continued, yeah, I was going to say, your cowboy needs a sugar daddy. Perry continued with, you look great. You're just lacking costume parts. Tyler Perry talk about some costume with those bad wigs he be having people wear. Sorry, don't want to offend, Dixon responded. Not at all. It's so true. Half-ass costume. To which Perry replied, that's true. Cowboy needs a sugar daddy, implying that Perry wanted to be Dixon's sugar daddy. Dixon quickly shut down the comments by reiterating that he said earlier that the truth was that he was lacking costume parts. Shortly thereafter, Dixon's boss at Legendary Events called Dixon and told him that Tyler Perry was having another event in Los Angeles and specifically wanted Dixon to fly from Atlanta to Los Angeles to work on the event. Excited for the opportunity to fly to Los Angeles, he about to get flued out. Dixon was flattered and jumped on the opportunity to meet Tyler Perry again. I mean, what can you expect? This dude want to be an actor, a writer. Like, is the introduction period of their relationship. So the cowboy thing was kind of wild, but he tried to shoot it down. So, still giving crazy though. Shortly after doing the event on November 3rd, 2019, defendant Perry said sent plaintiff several text messages that he would love to find plaintiff a job and change plaintiff's life, insisting that they should make it happen. Perry sent Dixon what turned out to be an ominous warning. Be careful hanging around me. I cause dreamers to dream bigger. I cause them to not only believe, but do. Then let's make it happen. You are an artist. You have to be fulfilled. Nothing else will suffice. I don't know if that's necessarily ominous. I don't know if that. I see what they're trying to say. Be careful being around me, but the context. I cause dreamers to dream bigger. I cause them to not only believe but do. Let's make this happen. You are an artist. You have to be fulfilled. Nothing else will suffice. I don't know if that's necessarily ominous how they worded that. The very next day, defendant Perry sent an email which contained an offer for plaintiff to play the role of in Perry's television series Ruthless. Perry said it was a small role that could get a lot bigger, thereby setting up the first stage of the series of escalating quid pro quo offers. At this point, Dixon did not know that Perry was interested in men or that he was looking for a relationship. Dixon assumed that Tyler Perry was genuinely a caring person who discovered that talent that Dixon always felt he had. He was caring, all right. Dixon filmed his roles in Ruthless in mid-November and went back to his job as an event staff for Legendary Events. Approximately 1 month later, Perry bought and gave Dixon a new car because he hated Dixon's Jeep. Dixon was surprised and elated. Dixon had no idea that he was being set up by Perry for extreme dependence. All right. Now, at some point, you got to use just a little bit of common sense here. Let's change this real quick. At some point, you have to use a little bit of common sense. I had a partner who was in California practicing law, and he was representing some guys who had some very serious charges that could get them a lot of time. And he was driving a specific car. I don't know what it was, but it was a beater car essentially. And these guys were like tired of his car. They was like, man, your car's like ass. And they like pulled up to his job with like a brand new car. I was like, here, this is yours. And I remember he called me and asked me about it. And generally, in anything, whether it's this guy and Tyler Perry, attorney-client relationships, clients will continue to look at you as counsel as long as you conduct yourself in that way. What that means is, no, I'm not meeting you at the strip club to discuss your fucking case. No, I'm not taking this car from you. No, I don't want a fucking Rolex watch. Long as you maintain those boundaries, they kind of keep that respect for you as counsel. Once you start to step over those boundaries and start accepting gifts, you become a part of the game. And if you're playing the game, you can get clapped like Mr. Dixon was about to get, allegedly. But yeah, so I say that to say the gift giving stuff is just a long way to finesse somebody to get them on the casting couch. So if somebody offering you something like, come on, dude, you did a minor role and he was tired of your car, so he gave you a car and you just took it. Real life is how shit is in jail. You go to jail if you're in prison and you go to your bunk bake and there's a you go to your bunk and there's a honey bun on your bunk. Don't eat the damn honey bun. Be like, yo, I don't know who honey bun this is. Take it. Don't eat the honey bun. Trust me, they gonna get their honey bun back one way or another. It's the exact same thing here. So Mr. Dixon, I don't know if he was naive or he was just a little bit of gamesmanship or going with it or what, but bruh, a grown ass man buying you a car is kind of wild. What the hell you think? Like, I mean, that's what people do when they're interested in somebody. They like do nice things for them and buy them shit. You know what I mean? I don't know. That's kind of crazy. All right, let's go ahead and jump back into it. Let me get this straight. But that's crazy. All right. So he had no idea after getting the new car that he was being set up for the okie doke. In December 2019, Dixon was requested to be a part of an event staff at another event at Perry's home in Jackson Hole, Wyoming. After that event, Perry started frequently sending text messages, making phone calls, and demanding that Dixon give Perry some attention. On New Year's Eve 2019, Perry texted Dixon, I can tell you the last time I pumped gas or when I went to the supermarket or fly commercial or packed a bag or had good sex. They put that in bold. It was before I was rich. Dixon found these messages to be strange and untowardly coming from someone like Tyler Perry, but being new to the industry, Dixon played along. You accepted a call from a grown ass man, bro. That's crazy. Dixon played along by downplaying the sexual comments and hoping that being around Perry would allow him to showcase his other talents as an actor and writer. Soon after Dixon began giving Perry more attention, Perry made his move on Dixon. Dixon, you just being kind of crazy, bro. What do you think is going to happen if you taking gifts and all this shit from this? Like going, ladies, y'all go to the club and the guy buy you a drink and this dude just like stalk you around the club. Like that's exactly what's going on in this situation. In January of 2020, just a few months after his first acting gig, Perry invited plaintiff to his home in Douglasville County, Georgia. Plaintiff showed up to the home hoping that he would be given a chance to befriend Perry and show him how talented of an actor Dixon was. At Perry's home, Dixon was served many alcoholic drinks, which Perry also partook in. Dixon felt that Perry was genuinely interested in Dixon's talent as an actor and writer. Perry made no sexual advances at Dixon while they were drinking, and the conversation was friendly. At the end of the night, Perry told Dixon not to drive home. Perry said it was dangerous and that Dixon was too inebriated to drive home. Fair. Social host liability could be a thing. Hey, if you provided somebody drinks and they go out and crash and fuck up some stuff, could be some social host liability potentially. So he said he's trying to do the right thing here. Dixon agreed and was escorted to a separate guest room. That guest room probably had all sorts of cameras in it. Not knowing that this was a ruse to allow Perry to assault Dixon, Dixon was tired and did not have pajamas, so he got into bed only wearing underwear. Like he needed if you go to sleep over Tyler Perry's house or Diddy house, you need like a chastity belt with a padlock on it. Before he knew what was happening, Dixon felt someone slip into bed behind him, start rubbing on Dixon's body around his inner thigh in a highly sexual and suggestive manner. That's the only way to rub on somebody's thigh. How do you not rub on somebody's thigh? I don't know. All right, Dixon turned around and saw that Tyler Perry was in bed with him. At this point, Dixon's stomach started to turn and he began feeling nauseous. Instinctively, Dixon jumped out of bed and told Tyler Perry, like what, 6'4", 6'5", probably like 270. This is crazy. All right, and told Tyler Perry that he wasn't that sexual. Tyler Perry ignored the comments and told Dixon to turn around so Perry could see him naked in his skivvies. Perry then commented on how beautiful Dixon's body was. All right, Dixon once again told Perry he was not into the games and the tomfoolery. Dixon kept informing Perry that he was not into sex in order to keep Perry at bay, while at the same time not insulting the person who was dangling his career in front of him. Fuck that career. That's crazy. In response to Dixon's request of frequent assertions that Dixon was not into sex, Perry started Prying further, Perry would send Dixon a text message saying, I would hope that you would let someone hold you and make love to you. You are missing the best years of your life, my friend. Trust me. I hope you get past that block in your mind soon. Bro, this is wow. I actually feel weird reading this. I actually feel terrible reading this. Uh, Perry was implying that Dixon was hopefully get past the block in his mind that would let Tyler Perry clap his cheeks. After the assault in January, Dixon felt betrayed. Now, at this point, you should probably not go around him anymore. Again, not victim blaming, because I know he got your livelihood dangling over your head. I don't know how much money you make working for live events, but it's probably not that much. All right. Perry continued to call or text Dixon every day, asking to talk to him more. Dixon ignored Perry, which led to Perry to text him, Derick, why don't you text me more? The more Dixon ignored Perry, the more aggressive Perry became, until finally Perry offered Dixon a part in the new show called The Oval. He just keep hanging that carrot out there, bro. You got to stop biting. Stop eating the honey bun that's on your bunk when your cellmate put it in there. Dixon was intrigued and was hoping that this would be a big break that he was looking for a chance for him to display his acting talent. Hey, come on in. Hey, you did that thing. You killed it.
I have a splinter, so I did
Where?
on my foot.
You got a splinter in your foot and you came here so I can get it out?
Yeah.
Well,
After you're done.
okay. I will be done shortly, all right? All right.
Hello.
See. Bye. I ain't say nothing. I'm talking to my tribe. Get out of here. Yeah, I'm about to talk about her. She come to me when she got something in her eye and a splinter in her foot still, no matter how old she is. All right. Dixon was intrigued and hoping that this would be his big break. On February 11th, 2020, Perry told Dixon to quit his job at Legendary Events and come work exclusively for Perry. Perry was not able to control Dixon so long as Dixon had secondary income that was providing for his basic needs. Once Dixon, Mr. Dixon, you are not being smart, my friend. Once Dixon quit his job due to his role on the Oval, Perry started getting more and more personal with Dixon. Knowing that Dixon was now under his control. Perry would often say things like, I give and give and give, and no one ever does anything for me in return. No one ever gives me what I want or what I need, implying that Dixon was not giving him cheeks. Perry started asking Dixon about Dixon's sexual preferences and roles and what role Dixon took on when engaging in acts, which in sexual terms mean whether Dixon referred to, oh my goodness. All right, y'all know whether he preferred to pass or catch. Perry further indicated that Dixon that he had sex with men before and that, okay, he preferred one passing over catching. Perry further told plaintiff that he wanted a man who was in a relationship with another individual, but whom would be emotionally involved and engaged, blah, blah, blah. Despite these comments, some of this shit I'm skipping because it's gross as fuck. Despite these comments, Dixon knew that a full That's funny. Despite these comments, Dixon knew that a full-throated refusal would land him in the doghouse and might result in his role being cut on the Oval. Fearing that his career would end before it began, Dixon put up with these comments and continued to maintain that he was not the sexual type. On or around March 2020, Dixon received a script for the Oval. He was written in as a season regular and was therefore expected to quit his job with Legendary Events. Dixon's character was written as a gay homeless man and desperate store clerk who had blah 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 who had clapped some cheeks with the other character. More importantly, at the end of the season, his character would be shot 4 times in the chest. That's actually really slick of him to finesse like that. Like, okay, I'm making these moves on you, but your character always gonna get shot every year if you don't do what I say. That's actually kind of crazy. Uh, Oh, it's sounding crazy. I don't know what's going on. Well, we're gonna get through it. We gonna get through it. But hey, if you want to contribute to a better mic, hey, it is much appreciated. All right. When Dixon asked Perry about the shooting, Perry indicated that if Dixon did a good job, Dixon would be back, and that the shooting didn't necessarily mean that Dixon's character was out of the script for future seasons. Perry commented that Dixon's character was only shot in the chest and not in the head. Dixon immediately understood that his job security depended on his relationship with Perry. From this point on, Dixon worked with a constant fear of losing his job if he did not engage with or endure Perry's sexual harassment. Shortly after giving Dixon this news and after telling Dixon that future seasons were dependent on Dixon doing a good job, Tyler Perry invited Dixon to his home in Atlanta. Plaintiff asked questions and tried to wiggle his way out of the invitation because he remembered what happened the last time the two were alone. However, plaintiff knew that his job security, income, and livelihood depended on his attendance. Plaintiff had seen other employees of Perry's who had expressed sudden deaths on the show when they fell on Perry's bad side. In fact, Perry had made it clear to Dixon that he would often kill characters in order to get an actor to be loyal or obedient. When Dixon arrived at the house, Tyler Perry gave Dixon a warm welcome and was very friendly. Soon after, Tyler Perry started asking Dixon a slew of sexually charged questions, even asking if he liked it rough. Perry then physically reached out and violently grabbed Dixon's throat. Whoa, wow, this dude crazy, bro. This is actually crazy. Oh, see, man, yeah, it was a user error. Okay, the first time was my fault. That time was your fault. All right, Dixon was horrified. So that's actually crazy. All right, Perry then physically reached out and violently grabbed Dixon's throat, attempting to physically choke Dixon, and remarked, "Wow, look how excited you just got. You you do like that." Dixon was horrified, shocked, and in panic. Dixon never thought that Tyler Perry could get so violent and would place his hands on Dixon's throat in a sexually aggressive manner. Dixon did not enjoy or consider. At some point, you got to say, damn the job. I don't give a damn. I would go out here and, like, there are other ways to make money. And I don't know what Tyler Perry was paying you on the Oval, but screw all that. Like, nah, bro. Ain't nobody gonna put me in this position where I'm uncomfortable and feeling this way. Like, I get it. I know you don't want to lose a job and you don't want to risk being homeless, and this is your dream. But fuck that. Dreams turn into nightmares real quick. This is actually crazy. All right. Dixon did not enjoy or consent to any of this conduct. Dixon was in shock and took steps to immediately de escalate the situation. Due to the onset of the pandemic in March of 2020, filming for the Oval was postponed indefinitely. During the period in which the filming for the Oval was postponed, Perry would make FaceTime calls and other contact to Dixon almost every day, treating Dixon as his on call pet. Dixon felt obligated to answer for fear of losing his role, income, and career. Perry often asked about Dixon about his whereabouts, often demanding that Dixon respond immediately. That's crazy. When he didn't, Perry would send text messages to Dixon stating, Derick, grr, in all caps. He's yelling at him and growling at him. And what are you doing? Additionally, Perry was jealous of anyone who Dixon had a relationship with. Perry told Dixon that if Dixon got COVID-19 from his roommate at the time, Dixon would not be able to shoot the Oval. Perry encouraged Dixon to move into one of the on-set studio houses owned by Perry, where Perry would have more control over Dixon's whereabouts. And let me guess, Dixon moved in. Therefore, Perry would text plaintiff about other actors on this show, Ruthless. Perry told Dixon how he manipulated employees through ruthless retaliation. Perry told Dixon that if he did not like the way an actor behaved or the way the actor was acting, the character would simply die in season 2. Dixon understood that Perry was informing Dixon to be cautious about disappointing or upsetting Perry. As a result, Dixon continued to put up with Perry's suggestive messages and sexual advances while doing his best to protect himself by taking notes and amassing evidence of the sexual harassment and keeping old text messages. Hey, not saying that wasn't smart. Good move on his part. In one conversation in or around April of 2020, Perry told Dixon Perry told Dixon that Perry imagined Dixon prancing around in a cowboy outfit, bruh, and that Perry did things to Dixon, and that he couldn't talk with Dixon about anything, about any further because they were so wrong. And or around April 2020, and while Dixon was living in the studio home, every time this dude put a honey bun on your bed, you just gotta eat it, don't you, bro? Like, come on now. Like, I get it. I don't hear anything about. It's just you. It didn't say anything about he was worried about his significant other, his kids. This is why he did that. It's just you, bro. I'd have walked away from that shit so fast. But in around blah blah blah. Okay, in around April 2020, while Dixon was living in a studio home on set, Perry often coerced Dixon to drink alcohol and then get on the phone with Perry. Perry would frequently have someone drop off alcohol to Dixon's door, and you just have to drink it. Perry would eventually turn these phone calls into explicit rants. Perry would get frustrated with Dixon and tell Dixon that he was not giving Perry what he needed. Dixon's refusal to succumb to Perry's advances caused Perry to be even more frustrated. Eventually, Perry warned Dixon that if Dixon told his castmates, about the harassment, Dixon would be opening himself up to a lot of questions and foolishness, and demanded that Dixon not discuss any of their conversation with castmates. Perry upped the stakes by telling Dixon point blank that he was not telling anyone about their friendship. Perry told Dixon that it should all remain secret and tried to make it seem like this secret was for Dixon's benefit. Perry continued to harass Dixon. On June 27, 2020. Defendant Perry texted Dixon that all he wanted for his birthday, bruh, biscuit and BJ's, bruh. Oh my goodness. But all that Perry ever received were biscuits, insinuating that his requests for the BJ's from Dixon were, I guess, not followed through with. This text was followed by other messages calling Dixon cute, cutie, and that Perry was just thinking about Dixon. Despite these advances, Dixon actually, it would have been, I don't know. This is ridiculous. Despite these advances, Dixon continued to act professionally and continued to tell Perry he was not sexual. That seemed to be the only way of keeping Perry at bay while keeping his job. Fuck that job. In July 2020, Perry remarked about how much he loved the script for Dixon's television series called Losing It and exclaimed that he wanted to shoot the pilot for it. Perry would never really work towards that goal, and what Perry was really doing was making Mr. Dixon more dependent on Perry, so that Perry could later extract sexual favors from Dixon as a quid pro quo to produce the pilot. That's some stuff that pimps do to prostitutes. In or around August of 2020, Dixon and his castmates began shooting for the Oval after the delay due to the pandemic, during which time all castmates and crew lived on the studio set in a quarantine bubble. Shortly after, Perry, confided in Dixon that two cast members were pissing him off and that Perry swore that he knew how to fix this shit. Perry added that he loves killing a MFer to show that no one expects that he was going to shoot them and they all got shot and kill them mofo characters, referring to killing off characters in the Oval played by actors who Perry wanted to retaliate against. More importantly, Perry stated in one text message, "I made need to shoot the shoot out early," which Dixon understood to mean unless the actors knew they were going to die and there was time on the show, they wouldn't change their ways. Perry was going to film the shoot out early so that actors would be more submissive to Perry's request. Perry intentionally made these comments to instill fear in Dixon. Mr. Dixon now knew that he too would lose his job if he did not play ball with Perry's harassment. This is what Perry had been setting up. Dixon was now fully relying on Perry for his income, hope, and future and aspirations. Perry made it clear that Dixon was not to disclose the relationship to anyone and that Dixon was aware that Tyler Perry would kill him off the show for good, thereby ending his career if Dixon got out of pocket. To top it off, Dixon already knew that his character was shot 4 times at the end of the season, but the shots might not be fatal. in July of, hold on real quick. I just looking at the comments. Yeah. Hey, hey, I, I get it. It's kind of gross, but we're gonna get through it. We're gonna get through it. All right. So let's go back to what was going on with this. This shit is hard, man. I'll be seeing how the lead attorney be reading all this stuff all the time. All right. Let's see. Once the save was set, Perry knew that he could get away with harassment during the filming of The Oval in 2020. Perry engaged in a severe and pervasive tirade of sexual commentary, including but not limited to that Dixon liked being choked. Why do you twist your hips when you walk? How what? How can I get a day of Dixon is crazy work, bro? What? All right, these are all text messages he said. All right. When will you be thick again? I love how I feel right now, but I don't like being horny. I feel sorry for the first person who flirts with me. I've been trying to put that energy somewhere else, but everything is sexual on this stuff. This is crazy. I'm not even reading all these comments. These comments are actually wild, bro. I'm not actually reading this. How do I get a day of Dixon is crazy work. I'm not reading all these comments. Okay, we're gonna skip some of these because I can't. Perry was photographed. What? Oh my goodness. I'm about to just make this big so y'all can read it. I'm gonna make this big so y'all can read it, and I'm gonna just let y'all read along and tell me when to turn the page. All right. Perry also photographed Dixon's cheeks while on set and sending the pictures to Dixon. Two text messages of many that show Perry was jealous of seeing Dixon with other men, and that Perry describes Dixon as beautiful. This series of comments and other unwanted sexual references made Dixon highly uncomfortable. Dixon was caught in a bind. He could not complain. This is just as disgusting as Diddy's was. They equally disgusting. Diddy's was worse, actually. He could not complain to anyone in HR. He had nowhere to turn for relief from his sexual harassment, and he knew that if he did not endure it, he would be killed off from the Oval. Dixon was unsure whether to joke back or rebuff Perry's harassment, so he endured it, knowing that his job was on the line if he did not engage. Perry would also share his intimate details of his own sex life with Dixon, among other things. Perry would tell Dixon that he had not had good cheeks since he became rich, and that there were certain times where he had not been touched in months. On the second to the last day of the shooting of The Oval, Dixon filmed the episode where his character was shot 4 times, indicating a seeming end to the role on the show and his termination from the job. It was precisely following this day of filming where Tyler Perry knew that Dixon's character's fate was to be decided, and that Perry invited Dixon to his trailer for drinks. And Dixon just gonna show. Dixon knew that refusal meant the end of his career. Bro, it don't make a difference. Your career ended anyway. You did all of this shit and your career ended anyway. So you should have just stood on business and been like, look, I'm not with the goofy shit. I'm not doing it. That's all that I don't know. Again, not saying that again, he is the alleged victim in this situation, but you worried about this career. You did all of this shit to protect this career that you don't have anyway. Like, nah, bro, you can find a career and what you want to do a different way than, reducing yourself to being someone's. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. It's just, it's kind of wild. All right. Dixon knew that refusing meant the end of his career, so he accepted. It was there on the very same day that Perry dialed up the harassment to a new level. Tyler Perry asked Derick Dixon point blank, "Are you attracted to me?" and demanded that Dixon answer. Plaintiff reiterated the same way he did after the first assault by skirting the question. Dixon told Perry that Dixon wasn't that sexual or looking for anything. Perry's insistent probing did not stop. Perry continued to talk about how good looking Dixon was and that plaintiff was wasting his looks by not being free to clap cheeks. Dixon repeatedly deflected these comments with neutral answers, consistently looking for ways to avoid Perry's interrogation while continuing to worry about his future. Fuck your future. on the oval, and Mr. Perry was testing how far he would go with Dixon. After enduring harassment and doing his best to dodge the situation, Mr. Dixon got up, the two exchanged goodbyes, and Dixon was leaving Perry's trailer. Perry got up and pinned Dixon against the wall. Perry began aggressively groping Dixon's cheeks in a sexual motion. Perry began reaching down towards Dixon's and groped Dixon's cheeks again, blah, blah, blah. He's a lot of cheek groping going on. All Dixon could do was let his body go cold and limp. Seeing that Dixon, Mr. Dixon, bruh. Yeah, this is hey yo, this reading this shit is terrible. This is terrible. Oh, they all terrible. When you see cases like this, they all terrible. Yeah. I'm trying. I'm trying not to laugh. I'm trying not to laugh because these are serious allegations. See, why would you type that? Because you know I was gonna laugh. Mr. Dixon just keep eating the honey bun off his cot, bro, when he don't have to. He could just stop. If there's a honey bun on your bed and you're in jail, you don't have to eat it. You can give it back to the person who is leaving it there for you to partake in. You don't have to eat the honey bun, people. All right, hold on. Let me move this over. Let me set my screen up right real quick. That's crazy. I'm trying not to laugh because it's actually not laughable. It's actually, if these allegations are true, it's actually terrible. But Mr. Dixon just kept putting himself in a compromising position one after another. I'm not trying to victim blame. All I'm saying is, bro, you don't have a career now. You did all this to preserve a career that you don't have. Like, what was the point? You should have just got the fuck out of there when the getting was good. All right, as soon as Dixon left the trailer, hold on, let me see. All Dixon could do was let his see, now I can't not laugh. All Dixon could do is let his body go cold and limp. That's like, honestly though, like that's like a common thing. You see it a lot in like abuse cases with like children, or if it's a spouse who's significantly smaller. That's like a defense mechanism. Like if I fight back, it'll be worse. So they just kind of just don't do anything and just kind of flop around. So that what he's doing there is actually consistent with people who are subjected to this type of behavior. Seeing that Dixon had no desire in Perry, Perry told Dixon that he was drunk and asked Dixon to leave the trailer. As soon as Dixon left the trailer, following Perry's violent assault, Dixon became severely nauseous and extremely anxious about his job, career, and livelihood. Dixon felt trapped. What is his, you know what? Now I want to know. I'm sorry. I got to see what this dude, I got to see what this dude's net worth is. Hold on, real quick. I want to see. I got to see what this dude. And I know these net worth things aren't right. All right. Tyler Perry, blah, blah, blah. Bro, he wasn't paying you no money anyway. Your net worth of everything that you got in 2025, his net worth was $300,000. Like you doing all this for some shit that he can't even help you with, bruh. Like he paid you a car. What type of car was it? It probably was a like a Kia. What was that old ass Kia? I had a Kia back in the day, like a Kia Sophia, some shit. Like that's actually crazy, bro. You doing all this for $300,000 is actually kind of crazy. Like, yeah, that's not even for $300,000. That's what your net worth was in 2025. This is actually insane to be going through all of this. Period. But you worried about a career and your net worth is $300,000. You don't have a career to begin with, bro. Like, so I don't know. It's crazy. Hey, I agree. I agree, especially with these text messages, bro. When can I get a day of Dixon is crazy work. Like, if you send that text message, I ain't gonna lie. I'll just be honest. After seeing those text messages, I'm generally believing everything that's in this complaint, unless there's like some evidence that's completely to the contrary. I'm generally believing everything that's in this complaint. It's just as far as me. I don't believe that this. I believe wholeheartedly that this stuff happened. The text messages appear consistent, and asking when can I get a day of Dixon is crazy work. He should have just cut this guy a check, and this shit should have never came to the light of day. $260 million. I don't know what his number was, but 26 million, 30 million, whatever it was. Tyler Perry, I agree, should have just paid that shit. Oh yeah, they do it all the time. Man, this no assaults like this happen all the time in the military. That shit crazy is terrible that people leverage their position of power to, take advantage of people. Again, I'm not victim blaming. I just think Dixon, you had a lot of opportunities to get out of there, bro. You did a lot to protect a career that's not even a career. Like you could have just kept your job, bro, or went and did something else, considering what your estimated net worth was last year. All right. Dixon felt trapped within the confines of the studio quarantine bubble. There was still another shoot the next day. Dixon called his friend Justin Bryan on the phone and told him everything that happened. That's good for his case. If you call somebody at or around the time the events occurred, and he was unaware of any human resource representative to whom he could report the assault. Plaintiff had no one to turn to and nowhere to go to save him from Perry's aggressive sexual harassment and exploitation. The next day, Perry acted like nothing happened, and this time he did not even offer Mr. Dixon an apology. Following the exchange, Dixon began to avoid Perry as much as possible. However, Dixon still felt the need to answer Perry's insistent text messages, so he changed his approach. Dixon often pretended to be asleep to avoid being harassed by Perry. However, Perry's persisted by texting Dixon the following message: "Are you awake? Stop ignoring me. Are you awake, Derek? Wake up. I know you're not sleeping and give me attention." This shit is crazy, bro. In or around early October 2020, Perry invited Dixon and other actors from the Oval on a cash trip to Perry's personal island in the Bahamas. Bro, I just stopped going. I would be the only brother who wouldn't go. I'd be like, nah, I'm good, bro. Matter of fact, nah. That's crazy. You like me, you believe all of it. You believe all of it, yeah. Seeing those text messages to me corroborates a lot of what he's saying. So I agree with you. I believe 99.99% of this. Dixon agreed to go, knowing that the whole cast was going to be there. One night while at Perry's private islands in the Bahamas, if you go to somebody's private island, that's definitely not going to be good. The cast was having a party. At the end of the night, Perry told Dixon that he wanted to talk to him. Dixon was caught, off guard. Perry made alcoholic drinks and forced Dixon to drink with him. Man, you just drinking stuff that this dude giving you. Dixon knew that he could not refuse the drinks, otherwise he would risk upsetting Mr. Perry. Instead, Dixon tried to stay in control and sip drinks slowly. Tyler Perry did not control himself. He drank until it was clear that the alcohol had made him bold and sexually aggressive. Perry told Dixon that he wanted a relationship with someone who could be emotionally and sexually available to him, but would also be permissive of Perry doing his own thing. Perry said he could see himself having that type of relationship with Dixon. Perry insisted that Dixon needed to. Oh my God, I see this dude on a sea dude, and it's getting creepy. All right, Perry told Dixon that he was watching all of the cast as they laid out in the sun with tanning oil. Perry continued raving about how seeing Dixon greased up. Bro. Oh man, yeah, what's up with celebrities and baby oil, man? I mean, hey, this dude. Oh my God. Perry continued raving about seeing Dixon greased up like, and how. I'm sorry. and how it was driving him crazy. Prey said he would either Prey said he would have burnt the whole island down if one of the other actors or anyone else from the group had touched Dixon that night. At that point, he once again aggressively seized Dixon and groped his cheeks. Dixon once again did not reciprocate and froze up. Prey got the message and told Dixon to go to bed. Dixon was terrified and could barely sleep. Man, that's crazy. Seeing you all, that's crazy, bro. All right, from the moment, from, the, from that moment on, Prey became extremely frustrated and possessive. Prey wanted desperately for Dixon to be attracted to him, but Dixon was not. In one exchange, Prey sent pictures of himself from the Bahamas to Dixon. Dixon responded that the water looked nice. Prey got upset that Dixon did not see the stud in the picture and instead focused on the water. Prey called Dixon an asshole for laughing out loud at Prey's desire for Dixon to call him a stud. On around October 18th, 2020, following, oh man, that was crazy. That's actually crazy. I was about to die. This is I agree wholeheartedly with you all. Uh this is actually wild. this this is actually insane. Oh man. Woo. All right, I got myself together. I can go and finish reading this now. Let me go and finish. I'm good now. I had to get myself together. All right. Dixon returned from the Bahamas. Prey told Dixon that he was jealous for Dixon for giving too much attention to other guys. Prey stated that Dixon was being too much of a social butterfly and that he would need Dixon to sit still this week until further attempting to exercise his influence over Dixon's interactions. Dixon's boss demanding attention in exchange for his continued employment. These text messages were followed by others to Dixon like Derick. Don't you dare ignore me. I deserve better. I deserve all the attention. Dixon, out of fear of the unknown future of his career, continued to give Perry the social attention he demanded, even though Dixon would constantly get sexually harassed. On several occasions, Perry would text Dixon while drunk. And one exchange, Perry told Dixon, "You know what? I cook, Derick," and then proceeds to say, "I'm so drunk talking smack." In December 2020, Dixon began feeling depleted due to Perry's continued pattern of harassment. The assaults and harassment began manifesting in his physical health, and Mr. Dixon had no one to turn to. Dixon visited a physician who indicated that Dixon exhibited severe symptoms of acute stress, insomnia, stomach issues, dangerously low cortisol levels due to sexual harassment and assault. The physician prescribed Zoloft, an antidepressant, for Dixon's ailments. The sexual harassment continued through the beginning of 2021. Perry continued sending Dixon unsolicited photos of Dixon's bodies on the set of the Oval with comments such as, "This dude keep calling this dude thick is crazy work." I'm gonna skip all the thick commentary. All right, we're not gonna read all the thick commentary, but allegedly he clearly likes uh, his men thick. All right, when going to take the blah blah blah, I'm skipping that. Oh my god, man! I'm not reading none of this shit. This is actually crazy. I am gonna read this. This is actually crazy. Is this is up here on the all right? Sending this text message is wild. So he required. It's actually in bold. I thought of when can I get a day of Dixon was crazy work. You are the rose. This is actually crazy. You are the rose, but you are so blocked that you refuse to be smelt or opened. Bro, this is crazy. This is crazy. When are you finally able to unlock your mind and you are going to make that person crazy, crazy in a good way? All right, we're going that. We skipping all this. This dude got all this shit in text messages. Tyler Perry fucked. I'm just reading the stuff that's in bold so you can see it on the screen. Bro, this dude crazy. After several weeks of unreciprocated sexual innuendos and demands for attention, Perry lashed out at Dixon on the set and asked if he needed to punch Dixon in the stomach for Dixon to act the way Perry envisioned in the scene. This exchange was highly tense, and Perry's reaction stunned several cast members. Actors on set consoled Dixon for the abrasive interaction, confused as to why Perry overreacted in such a manner. But Dixon knew that Perry was lashing out due to his frustrations at the lack of attention Dixon was giving him. On or around June 4th, 2021, Perry invited Dixon to his house to spend some time together, and Mr. Dixon went and discussed the pilot of Losing It. Although Dixon hesitated, he feared consequences, bro. Whatever. During the visit, Perry made several alcoholic beverages for himself and demanded to know why Dixon was not letting Perry clap. Perry probed further about Dixon's life and insisted that the two were becoming increasingly drunk and it was time to end the night. Perry then led Dixon to the guest house where the bedroom was. Dixon would be staying there that night. Instead, inside the guest room, Perry motioned to Dixon to come see a weight monitor that he had. Perry told Dixon that for the monitor to work, Dixon would need to step on the monitor wearing only his underwear and push Dixon to try it out. Dixon tried to avoid the uncomfortable situation, but decided it was best to comply and hurry to bed and wait for an alternative at that point. Bro, so you just. After weighing himself, Dixon walked toward the guest room, followed by Perry, who then asked Dixon for a goodnight hug. Rather than arguing, Dixon complied. You and your drawers hugging this dude after you got off the scale, bro. Dixon, like, okay, I'm definitely not going to victim blame here, but bro, you doing way more than the most in this. You're doing actually way more than the most. You keep going over this dude's house. You keep going over this dude's island. You got a $300,000 net worth as of last year. Whatever the fuck you did on the Oval didn't even make you any damn money. Like it is actually crazy. I mean, like, yeah, the fact that you just keep going back and keep going back, bro. Like, I don't know. Like, it's definitely not. I agree with you 100%. The more I read this, the like crazier it is. But Mr. Dixon just kept making bad decision after bad decision. And if you keep coming over somebody's house, you keep doing all of these things, and you like, it felt like he said no actually at one point early on in this thing. I don't know. It's kind of. I'm not saying you consented to it, bruh, but you at this dude's house, and this dude just repeatedly been just caressing your cheeks on the gropey side of the game. And he like, yo, try out my new scale. Before it to be accurate, you gotta get on it in your speedos, and you get on in speedos, and then you get this grown big ass burly dude a good night hug, bro. Like, nah, I don't know. A good night hug is crazy. You giving him a good night hug is wild. After weighing himself, blah blah blah. Perry then, all right, let me see. He gave him a good night hug. Rather than arguing, Dixon complied. At which point Perry reached out and yanked Dixon's underwear down from behind. Because you gave him a good night hug. Not saying that Tyler Perry is wrong or right in this instance, but bro, why are you walking around this dude's house in some drawers and shit? That don't even make any sense. Perry then began to vigorously grab, grope, and play with Dixon's cheeks. Dixon was naked, stunned, and seized by the tremendous fear. Dixon started to tell Perry that he did not want his underwear down, that Dixon did not want to be naked, and that Dixon didn't want this. Dixon quickly pulled his trousers back up, and as soon as he did, Perry grabbed Dixon's reaching arm with a tight grip and held fast. Perry told Dixon, relax and just let it happen. Whoa. 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 This is crazy. This is agreed. Like Dixon, you doing too much. You keep putting yourself in harm's way. Like you assuming the risk. Real talk. You kind of assuming the risk. There's a lot of attempted cheek clappers going on. That's crazy. This is normal for Tyler Perry. Yeah, with these allegations, and these text messages, y'all gonna see. I guarantee you, I will put money on it that we're gonna see more lawsuits come at Tyler Perry. Is indefinitely all of this attempted cheek clapping going on. All right, telling you to relax and just let it happen is crazy. That it wasn't gonna hurt. That's crazy. That's crazy. That's actually crazy. All right, Dixon's anxiety rapidly escalated, and remember, Tyler Perry is big as shit. Like he actually a big dude. Like so, if Tyler Perry grabbed you, you would have to like kick him in the nuts or some shit to get this big ass dude off of you, because he's not a small guy at all. Dixon's anxiety rapidly escalated, thinking that he might soon be raped. Dixon was not sure what to do, and his breath short. He had a damn panic attack in this bitch. See, he's 6'5". I said 6'4". I knew he was something like that. Perry ignores Dixon's refusal and held Dixon's hand fast, preventing him from reaching his underwear. Dixon was assed out and being groped by a large, drunk, and sexually frustrated 6'5" man who had Dixon in his clutches. Dixon did not know if he was going to have to get into a physical fight. Bro, we'd have been fighting in that jump. I'd have been ass naked fighting like a motherfucker for my life. Like, bro, like generally nobody want to be in a butt naked fight. A butt naked fight is crazy. But in this situation, bro, you shouldn't even been at the house. But like, nah, like you thinking about fight. At what point are you thinking about throwing a punch? This is actually kind of crazy on your part a little bit, Mr. Dixon. Tyler Perry part is wild. Don't get me wrong, but Mr. Dixon, this is actually crazy. Like that, all of this happening. You like, man, I just might have to fight, and you don't realize that till your drawers is around your ankles. That's crazy. That's actually insane. Dixon did not know if he was going to have to get in a physical fight, but he knew that any effort to fight back was hopeless. No, it's not. You can fuck up a 6'5" person before. Like I fought some big ass people back in my day. You can fuck up a 6'5" person. It's 2 or 3 places on the body that I don't give a damn how big you are, you can't make stronger. That's crazy. All right, Perry had armed security at his gate that was much larger than Dixon and told Dixon that he had several guns in his home. Mr. Dixon is wilding, bro. Dixon was desperate for a way out and remarked that he couldn't do anything sexual because he was so hungry, attempting to change the conversation. Dixon, you should have just, like, real talk, Mr. Dixon, you should have just did what people in prison do. You should have just shitted on yourself, bro. You should have just been like, you know what? I don't want to be bothered. I'm just going just right then. You should have just had a bowel movement. I guarantee you he would have left you alone. Well, I don't know. I can't guarantee it with these accusations about Tyler Perry, but that would have been your defense mechanism because you clearly aren't going to fight. You at the stage, with your pants is off, drawers around your ankle, and you're like, I don't know if I'm gonna have to get in a fight. He got security. Damn the security. You should have did anything you can to absolutely get out of that situation. Now I want to know how the fuck did he get out of this situation? All right, Dixon. Hold on, let me see. He couldn't do anything sexual because he was so hungry. He should have just shitted on himself, bro, and ended everything immediately. Attempting to change the conversation, Dixon asked, "Is there any food up there?" Which prompted Perry to withdraw and order pizza. That's the other thing that's kind of weird. He has a lot of, like I said earlier, this is another situation where he describes something extremely aggressive and then is just broken up and ends because of a minor redirect, which, again, I'm not saying it didn't happen, but it's inconsistent. Normally, when you got somebody being aggressive like that, a minor redirection isn't going to like, oh, man, I'm hungry. You got any food? Let me order pizza. Normally, it would have led to something else. So the fact that these assaults are being altered with a minor redirection of food or changing the subject is uncommon for something like that. Afterward, Dixon returned to the guest house and was unable to lock the bedroom door. He locked himself in the guest house bathroom and slept on the floor. Bro, the door locks don't work. That's a real that's crazy as hell. The door locks. You can't lock none of the doors in the house, so he locked himself in the bathroom. That's crazy. He should just left, bruh, and locked himself in the guest house bathroom and slept on the floor. Dixon then attempted to contact some close friends about the incident. Following morning, Dixon realized that he had left his car keys. Then you just leaving stuff behind, bro. You should have had all your belongings when you got up out of there. He left his car keys in the main house, and upon going to retrieve, he knew you left those keys. He probably was just sitting there drinking coffee with those keys on the table. Dixon realized he left his keys. When he went to go retrieve them, he encountered Perry. Perry told Dixon that last night's incident was why the two shouldn't drink together and that the previous night incident shouldn't have happened. Dixon responded saying, "Oh, so that was my fault." To which Perry replied, "Excuse me, no, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that shouldn't have happened and I drank too much." Attempting to excuse himself for grabbing Dixon's cheeks, groping Dixon, and attempting to have a cheek clapping section with Dixon. At this point, Dixon left Perry's home uncontrollably shaken and contacted his close friend to discuss the unspeakable horrors of the night before. Where we at? All right. Back to some messages. He kept calling to answer his calls. Finally, Dixon answered, at which point Perry began apologizing and blaming the testosterone supplements he was taking at the time. The fact that he has all of these apologies are really bad for Tyler Perry, because if you're apologizing about something, it's consistent with something actually not being consensual, that something you did wrong. Perry had confided in Dixon about these supplements in the past messages and decided to use them as a scapegoat for his action. Dixon's emphasized that he was not okay with what happened and that he had never asked Perry for anything. Did you not ask him for anything? I read this and it sounded like you asked for a lot of things just without asking. Just me. I don't know. You said you never asked him for anything, but you asked him for a car, for a role on the show. You asked for a lot of shit. You just didn't verbally ask for it. To which Perry replied, "I know, that's why I like you." Perry further attempted to rectify his misconduct by inviting Dixon on a yacht trip. Bro, if you go on a boat with this dude, I'm gonna stop, man. If this dude about to go and just be on a boat, he probably don't know how to swim. he about to go on a boat with Tyler Perry, and he don't even know how to get off and swim if he needed to swim to save his life. All right. Dixon on a yacht trip and telling Dixon that Perry was for sure going to make Dixon's pilot. Dixon realized that Perry was offering to make losing it to effectively silence Dixon. Perry sent a text message trying to arrange for Dixon to come on his yacht with another person so that Dixon would feel more comfortable. Dixon responded that he would not board the yacht and refused Perry's invitation. Finally, Mr. Dixon says, "You know what? Enough is enough. I'm not putting myself in a position where my drawers can be around my ankles against my will." Shout out to you, Mr. Dixon, because if you'd have went on that boat, you would have been screwed literally and figuratively. So shout out to you for not going. You did this probably about 4 trips. You shouldn't have been at the island. You shouldn't have been at his house. You shouldn't have been at the makeshift homes on the studio. You shouldn't have been. You should have been at one event that you did when you was doing your event planning job, and that shit should have ended there. You shouldn't have been driving in the car he bought you like you was his girlfriend or his property. All that shit is giving crazy. But he refused to go on the yacht. Perry did not text Dixon for 5 months, sensing that Dixon was upset. See, the minute you refused to get on the yacht, he's like, okay, he backed off. Perry called Dixon once to update him that Perry was looking for a director for the pilot. During the 5-month period, Dixon was regularly in therapy. He suffered severe depression, anxiety, stomach pains, nausea. All of this is language for his claim of severe intentional infliction of emotional distress. Post-traumatic stress disorder. Yep, all that would be good. I mean, all that would happen based on these allegations. Recommended that he seek outpatient treatment, costing upward of $20,000, a price too high for Dixon at this time. You're doing all this to save your career, and you don't even got $20,000 for fucking outpatient treatment. During that time, Dixon began speaking with people about the sexual assault and was assessing his rights. As soon as Perry realized that Dixon was done talking to him, Dixon got a message from Perry's fixers. Perry fixers contacted Dixon, indicating that Dixon's character on the Oval, the one who was shot, would be returning with a new storyline for next season. And Dixon was receiving a graduated raise from $10,000 per episode to $16,000 per episode that would continue to increase upwards to $19,000 per episode over the coming seasons. I don't know the scope of his role in that, but that's low. Like, I know somebody who was on a childhood show, not a childhood show, but played on New York Undercover as a kid. And he was making $10,000 per episode back when New York Undercover was out. And that was like shit in the 90s. All right. The attorney said that Christmas came early for Dixon because he was doing a good job on the Oval. However, they also told Dixon that he was forbidden from letting his castmates know about the raise. Lastly, the fixers told Dixon that Perry wanted to buy the right produce the pilot, losing it, and planned to spend up to $1 million producing the pilot. Dixon immediately knew why he was getting a raise and why the pilot was being produced. He knew he could keep the money and the job or complain about the sexual harassment, but not do both. The situation facing Dixon presented a challenging decision that left him unable to take any action or make a decision. The prospect of the sexual assault and harassment becoming public or dealing with Perry's highly paid attorneys was daunting. Perry had significant resources where Dixon did not. Dixon's goals of working as an actor and being discovered for his talent might be jeopardized. In what was an extremely difficult decision, Dixon bowed to the pressure and fear of losing his livelihood in hopes of, here you go again, Mr. Dixon, making bad decisions. He decided to return to the set, have his pilot produced. He insisted, however, he decided to put safeguards in place between himself and Mr. Perry, like not get on your drawers and step on the scale of some grown-ass man. And around November 21, Dixon returned to shoot the Oval. It was then he saw Perry for the first time in person since June 2021, sexual assault. Dixon suffered a panic attack in his trailer, prompting another actor to calm Dixon down. Seeing Dixon was upset, Perry knew that he had to up the ante to ensure Dixon's silence. Perry began periodically texting plaintiff regarding the production of the pilot, losing it, to string Dixon along. Soon after, Dixon received a call from a member of Perry's production team telling him that they were considering shooting Dixon's pilot in the coming fall of 2021. Dixon was desperate for this good news, given the uncertainty surrounding his finances. See what happened when you don't control your finances, and concerning about his future. On or around March 2022, Dixon signed a literary purchase agreement for the pilot, giving the rights of the series to defendant TPS. Dixon was not aware of TPS's pre-existing television contracts with Viacom CBS, now known as Paramount Global, which would later prevent the sale of Dixon's show to any media outlets or streaming services for 2 years. On or around March 21st, 2022, shortly after seeing each other on the set of the Oval, Dixon and Perry began shooting the pilot. Perry called Dixon following the shoot, telling him that the show would net $2 to $3 million per episode and would run for 2 seasons guaranteed. Perry purchased the rights to losing it from Dixon, but did not try to sell it to any network. In fact, Perry was under contract with Viacom CBS, preventing him from selling Dixon's show for an additional 2 years following the purchase. In other words, Perry spent money shooting a pilot for a show and then purchased the right to it, knowing that Perry could not sell the show for 2 years. Clearly, this was done for the ulterior motive of silencing Dixon. As it turns out, Perry had no intention of ever producing losing it. Perry never made any effort to sell the show or stop it. Perry would only use the show as a quid pro quo to Dixon. Holding his production over Dixon's head like the sword of the... on or around April 9th, 2022, to his surprise, plaintiff received a script for another season of The Oval, to which the plaintiff's character originally written as a grocery store clerk, would play a male prostitute being pursued by a pimp. Would play a male prostitute pursued by a pimp. The characters' scenes of the story share eerie similarities to Perry's production of Dixon. While this was not surprising that one of Perry's characters would end up this way, the timing of changing the timing of change to Dixon was very clear message. As Dixon continued to read through his scripts, he started to notice that Perry included lines taken directly from things that Perry and Dixon had spoken about. Perry started to base the script off of real life and make it personal. For example, Perry wrote about Dixon that I don't like none of my bitches running away. He made good money for me. And around April 22, before beginning to shoot the next season of The Oval, Perry called Dixon to discuss the June 2021 sexual assault on the phone call. He got recordings of this shit. Perry lectured Dixon about how Dixon was overreacting to the assault because of prior sexual assaults in Dixon's life. Perry said that there was a misunderstanding and miscommunication, and that Dixon needed to say no stronger. In other words, he blamed Perry for the assault. So it's not to jeopardize his employment. Defendant, blah, 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 dismissed the conversation due to the impending sale of his show to a major broadcast on or about October 28th, 2022. After filming the full season of The Oval, Perry told Dixon that despite shooting the pilot, it could take a while to place, and that Perry couldn't do any other television series until his deal with Viacom was up, which could take about 2 years. In or around January 2023, Plaintiff indicated that he was moving to Santa Monica. He did so to put some distance between himself and Perry. Tyler Perry replied that he was glad to hear Dixon was moving away and asked if Dixon's no was stronger before he left. Oh boy. Perry reiterated that Dixon should have a strong no and make it clear when he said no. This was Perry's way of once again referencing the June 2021 assault of Dixon, making it clear that Perry felt no remorse for his assault against Dixon's will. Dixon remained calm. Let me see real quick. All right. Dixon remained calm, considering the triggering comments, because he needed Perry to keep him with his dreams of producing the show, and because Dixon was a regular actor on The Oval. Even after Dixon moved to California, the quid pro quo and harassment attempts to cover up the assault by promising the show continued. Perry would call Dixon, who felt obligated to pick up Perry's phone calls and respond to text messages. The conversations would often start about work and the men's business relationship, and then transition to further discussion about Dixon's sex life, adding to Dixon's trauma. Perry would call Dixon and say, "You'll understand when you have a hit show," and in the same breath refer to the assault by saying, "I'm so glad that we're past that." Dixon knew that he had just that he had to just hold his tongue because Perry was still employing Dixon. On or around October 2023, Perry finally contacted Dixon, indicating that he was going to finish his Paramount Global contract in January 2024, and he would be able to start working on selling Losing It. Perry was just hoping that the statute of limitations would run on Dixon's sexual assault claim before closing the door on Dixon's hope and on the quid pro quo. In the same conversation where they were talking about Perry starting to do things with Losing It, Tyler Perry also asked Dixon who he was having a cheek clapping session with. Perry further pushed for details, asking Dixon if he was throwing or catching. Perry again told Dixon that Perry wants a partner, blah, blah, blah. In December of 2023, Christian Keys, another actor who worked for Perry prior to Dixon's employment, posted a video on social media platforms detailing his abusive experience with an anonymous Black Hollywood billionaire, which Dixon pieced together and believes to be Tyler Perry. I think we all assumed that was Tyler Perry because I don't know if Christian Keys actually had any work outside of Tyler Perry's stuff. Dixon heard Mr. Keys' account and saw that Perry had been engaging in the same sexual conduct with others, just like his interactions described by Keys. Perry would get drunk, climb into Dixon's bed, and start rubbing on his cheeks. In January 2024, Perry told Dixon to begin working on a pitch deck for investors for the pilot. Despite having 8 episodes written, Perry only produced one, claiming that the president of his company, Michael Sneed, conveniently misplaced $1 million that were going to be used for the show. During that time, blah, blah, blah. This is just him not getting what he want with the show. All right, I'm about to skip through this because this shit is getting ridiculous. All right, in or around March of 2024, Perry indicated to Derick Dixon that the individual who was meant to pitch the pilot became depressed and no longer could pitch the show. So he's coming up with excuses. Later, Perry told Dixon that Netflix turned the show down. Dixon was never contacted by any individual from Netflix regarding the show. No sale materialized. All right, let's see. In June of 2024, Dixon was getting frustrated about the show not getting off the ground and still concerned about the assault being made public, offered Dixon a position as a writer on one of Perry's shows, indicating that he needed a replacement to continue to write. Rather than continue down this path, Dixon took the heroic step of reporting the conduct to the EEOC. After reporting the conduct, the defendant did not make any investigation into the complaint and did not take any steps to prevent further harassment. Dixon had quit his job working on the last season of The Oval. Dixon did so even though he was under contract to finish filming, and he stood to make close to $400,000. Dixon did not want to be sexually harassed or be in a place of danger for sexual assault again. All right, first cause of action, quid pro quo sexual harassment. I think we know what that is from the facts that we read. Hey, you give me some cheek clapping section, I give you some access and some fame, some exposure in the limelight. So we're not even going through those facts. Work environment harassment, that's always going to be the case when people have an employer-employee type of relationship. I think we know where the facts fall for this cause of action. The one I'm interested in is sexual harassment defined in a relationship, self-explanatory. Workplace gender violence, I think that's self-explanatory with the facts we read. Violation of the Bain Act in violation of California Civil Code 52.1. All right. The Bain Act provides that it is unlawful to interfere with the exercise or enjoyment of any rights under the Constitution and laws of this state in the United States by use, attempted threats, intimidation, or coercion. So essentially, the Bain Act is a statute that says, you can't interfere with people's personal rights to do shit that they legally have the right to do by using threats, intimidation, or coercion. We know what the threats, intimidation, or coercion was: holding the employment over the head, holding the show, the pilot over his head. The next cause of action is sexual battery, sexual assault. 8th cause of action, negligent hiring, supervision, and retention of an employee. 9th cause of action, intentional infliction of emotional distress. 10th cause of action is retaliation. So prayers for relief, plaintiff prays for the following: costs, attorney's fees. That's crazy. $260 million. Woo, that was rough to get through. Woo, hey, shout out to y'all for hanging in there. That shit was gross as fuck. that shit was gross as hell. Shout out to y'all for hanging in there with me. Let me just take a look at some of the comments real quick. I'm not going to go back and backtrack because I was trying to read that. But let me take a look at some of the comments. Yeah, whatever he is. Yeah, whatever he is, the conduct is fucking crazy. Like, you could be whatever, straight, by, it don't make a difference. You can't do all of that goofy shit. You can't do all of that type of goofy stuff. Interesting. Yeah, whatever it is, his preference or proclivities. Like, your preferences can be your preferences, but you can't strong arm and coerce people into a cheek clapping session. That shit just not going to go well. Tyler Perry is probably going to end up cutting the big ass check. He going and allegedly stole his character from this person. Oh, that's interesting. But yeah, Tyler Perry is going to end up cutting the big ass check. Uh, he gonna have to cut a big ass check. I don't see how he makes it out of this without getting hit over the head financially. And I guarantee you, with 100% certainty, there will be more lawsuits to follow. I actually wouldn't be shocked if we see a second lawsuit that's actually filed by Christian Keys, considering he was the first person to kind of go public and talk about this type of conduct, which everyone kind of pieced up and assumed he was speaking about Tyler Perry. But this is actually crazy. I appreciate everybody who tuned in. We're going to keep a tab on this one. I suspect he's going to cut a check. The check is probably, I'm going to go on and say that his check that he cut is probably going to be, I'm going to say, I think if Rihanna got 30 million, y'all think he'll get, if Tyler Perry cut a check to settle this, y'all think it'll be more or less than 30 million? I'm thinking he'll probably get 10% of what he's asking for. So yeah, 260 million. He probably get 26 million. Tyler Perry gonna probably have to cut a check for $26 million to make this go away, and then he gonna get flooded with the gang of lawsuits. Yeah, I agree. I agree. Hey, when you got a team of lawyers and you've been in the game for a while, you know how to use a little bit of gamesmanship when you're purportedly doing shit that you don't have no business doing. Yo, that's it for this video. I just wanted to get through that complaint. I thought the thumbnail was hilarious too. I like superimposed Medea's face on Tyler Perry's face. Shout out to my son for helping me with that thumbnail. But as y'all know, if y'all been with me since this whole thing, I have a splinter to get out of my daughter's foot. So I'm gonna get to it. Y'all be safe, be blessed. We're gonna see how many more lawsuits stem from this, and we're gonna see how fast this results in the settlement. I think it's gonna be relatively fast. I would say this shit probably resolve itself within 2 to 3 weeks. Honestly, it's just gonna get worse from here. But y'all let me know what y'all think in the comments. Y'all have a good holiday, a good weekend. I'm thrown off because Thursday was a holiday. Y'all have a good weekend. Be safe and be blessed. Peace. Less than 30? Yeah, I think it's going to be less than 30. Be safe, family.